I'm just doing this video to go along with the blog post that I've put up about seeing the seizure for the first time. It's something I want to do a bit more often, go into detail a bit into a few more things, so hopefully it's interesting. So Connie had her first seizure back in March. I'm doing that because it was horrendous, but it wasn't like what you would think a seizure looked like. It looked more like she was having a stroke. We got called, I remember shouting, it was like 3-4 a.m. Mum and Dad were shouting that I couldn't get her to respond. She was sat up, but her eyes were just gone. Her face was twisted and like all up in a way you'd never be able to get your face in that position. She had. We were all crying. It was awful. She wasn't with us. That was the main thing I remember. Like, she was there, but she wasn't there, if that makes sense. And we hadn't experienced anything like this before. First aid, really, I know the basics, but I'd never been in a situation where somebody needed like emergency help, and I hadn't got a clue what to do. We didn't know it was definitely a seizure at that point. And I remember my dad and I just thought, oh my God, I think he thinks this could be it. It was horrific because he didn't know what was going on. And I remember she was sat facing away from me, and I'll never forget, she turned her face round and the look on her face was, I've never seen anything like it. It was awful. So anyway, she went into hospital and they did tell us that that was a seizure, but it wasn't sort of what I thought a seizure would be. So I was a bit like, oh right, okay. I thought it would, as horrible as it was, I thought it would look a bit more scary than that. Then came the second one pretty soon afterwards. I think it was it 2 weeks or 4? Like, not long afterwards, maybe a month afterwards. And this was the real event. This was everything that I thought a seizure would be and more. Connie was totally gone, not with us at all. Pupils were massive. She was convulsing so violently. She had no control over anything, really shaking and going for it and jerking. What else was going on? Her mouth foaming. We were worried that she was going to be sick because like she was really foaming and she couldn't seem to breathe. She was making these noises as though she couldn't breathe. And her body was totally rigid, just didn't, it was horrific. She was lying in bed, she wasn't up and about, so we did manage to get her into the recovery position. Because obviously since the first one, we were sort of expecting, so we had done a little bit of research. And they'd sort of said, you know, she's doesn't come out with it within 2 minutes, then call an ambulance. But we were still unexperienced in the whole thing. Inexperienced, unexperienced. And we couldn't tell if she was coming out of it or not. 2 minutes passed and we were like, is this her out of it? She wasn't shaking anymore, but she wasn't with us. So did that mean she'd finished, or was she okay? So in the end we rang for an ambulance because we had no idea. And the men were lovely and they said, you absolutely did the right thing. Don't ever not ring if you need to. So that was the more stereotypical one, the one that was horrific to watch, but probably I'm glad we had as an experience because it sort of showed us the signs that we need to know, like what to do. We need to make her head safe, we need to get in a recovery position, we need to talk to her because she can hear us, and us all flapping about and panicking won't be doing her any good. We just need to sit and calm her and talk to her and get her through it. Both the first ones did actually end up in, both the two ended up in a hospital trip, and the second one she actually had to stay in overnight. It worked out to be nearly 48 hours because it had just wiped her out. She had to be on a drip for fluids because she was just not eating or drinking or anything. The third one we had, as bad as it was, because I was the one who found her, actually started, I heard her Argos book drop. She was just in the lounge and I heard it drop to the floor, and I went in and she was just slumped and her face was twisted again. It was just awful. So managed to get her quickly down onto the floor before the violent like shaking starts, because then you can't really move her at all. So managed to get her on the floor, and we were all there, and it just seemed a lot more calmer. We managed to deal with it. We weren't as like panicked and crying and horrific, like just panic. We managed to deal with it ourselves, and I'll never forget the feeling of when we got through it and she'd finished and we knew that we didn't have to ring an ambulance, that she was like just needing to sleep it off. Like I was like, oh, we've done it, like we've got through one, we can do this. And luckily, like all of us were there, me, mum, dad and Morgan were all there, so we all saw it and sort of saw what we had to do. We were on a roll, we had the timer going, we were really efficient. One of us was upstairs getting the phone if it was needed, the other had the timer going, one was talking to her, the other one was sorting out the pillows. Like it was like a team effort, and we nailed it. And that got us all, I think, to feel a lot more confident about what we were doing with seizures. And obviously it's not hard to recognise really, because I'm really sorry, I've just had to switch camera because I ran out of battery, so I hope it's not a massive change. Yeah, it's not really hard to recognise the big seizures. The littler ones, the partial ones and the absences probably are. So if you fancy a video on that, just let us know, because we would do on my mum would probably get involved in that and share some of her knowledge. Yeah, so basically seeing a seizure for the first time, I feel like pretty much every single time you see one, it's sort of like the first time, because you don't know how it's going to end up. You might end up in hospital, it might be a tiny one, or it could be a lot worse. But fingers crossed, we haven't had one in a while, which is good, but it's also making us a bit nervous, like, will we still remember what to do? But I'm sure we will. We're getting more and more confident now. Every time we have to deal with something, it's not phasing us as much as it used to, even though I don't think I'll ever 100% get used to it. I never thought I'd have to deal with seizures or anything. I mean, for years we thought Connie was just Connie. We didn't know that this was what was going to happen, and who knows where it's going to go next. It is horrible, but it's something to go through. So if you're going through experiencing this, or you've just seen your first one, or you're worried that you might see your first one, please comment below and let us know. We'd love to get to know more people. We don't really know many people. I don't know anybody who goes through seeing someone they love have a seizure. I know people at certain places see them through work, but seeing someone you love have one is quite different, I think. I'm not sure, maybe it's not. So yeah, just let us know. Please go along and check out the blog post I've done on just-connie.com to go along with this. Probably makes a lot more sense than what I've rambled on about. Please don't forget to subscribe. We're loving making videos, and December's going to get really interesting, so stay with us for that. And let us know if there's anything else about our life you'd want us to talk about, because me and my mum can talk for England on any subject around Connie. So yeah, just let us know, and thank you for watching. I hope it was an alright video. I'm sorry I've had to be sat in my car and I've changed the camera, but I hope you like it. Thank you. Got to say, I've also put the links down below to all our social media pages to come and follow us on, but also some of the websites that I found really useful in researching seizures and things, and about epilepsy and all different things. So go and have a look down below if you fancy checking them out.